Good morning. This is Sherita Herring with Beverly Hills to Barnyard. Oh my God. Today is a show. You got to excuse me because I've been crying since last night. I'm dedicating the show to my aunt, Genetter Bradley. But let me give you my disclaimer first. You're listening to the WCEG network on WCEGtalkradio.com or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, and the WCEG network. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like WCEG on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram at WCEG Talk, WCEG_talk_radio, and at WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not the WCEG Network. Thank you so much for your continued support. Today, in honor of Black History Month, I'm honoring my living legend. Oh, I got to get through this show. Genetter Bradley is my mom's next to baby sister. She and my Aunt Carolyn are the two remaining sisters of this wonderful group of young ladies. So what I'm going to do a PowerPoint for you today. Maybe I need some coffee, right? She's been my muse since I was a little girl. And I'm often told I'm like her, and I always took it as a compliment. I'm often told that I look like her. I always took that as a compliment. Excuse me. Let me give you a little bit of history. Genetter Bradley is a Kansas City gospel legend. One second. Father God, let me get through this show. You understand where my heart is about my aunt. For all of you watching, hold us up in prayer. Hold me up in prayer that I can do this today because I have a lot to share with you. So Lord, stay with me, Lord. Amen. My aunt is a living legend. She was the lead singer with the Kansas City Melody Airs, which toured nationally and recorded, oh my gosh, with Peacock Records. In 1966, the group performed at Harlem's famed Apollo Theater. In 1974, she formed her own group, the Genetter Bradley Singers, Genetter Bradley and the Bradley Singers, then had the hit single, Right Direction. In the 1980s, she founded the Kansas City Gospel Music Seminar, which trained thousands of gospel singers who came from across the nation. So for those of you that aren't aware, my aunt is dealing with dementia right now, and I miss her tremendously. I miss her laugh. I miss our conversations. So that being said, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give a PowerPoint and just introduce you to this amazing lady, which thousands already know. She's been very instrumental in helping individuals across the nation, across the world, and expand their careers in gospel music. So I'm going to come out of this. Please excuse me. Please excuse me. And let me just get this going. Let's see. This is embarrassing. I do this kind of thing all the time, right? I'm going to share my screen. Do I have permission? I hope I have permission now to share my screen. And okay, get this together, Sherita. Okay. So this is a celebration of Black History Month, honoring my aunt, Genetter Bradley. So I want to talk a little bit first about our family history and how she came about, and then myself. So many of you have watched me here on the land here in Hattieville, Arkansas. I call it the Barnyard. But this generation started with my great grandparents, Isaac and Cynthia Kennedy, right here in Hattieville, Arkansas, where they migrated from North Carolina. There were 13 of 14 siblings born in this old house. And that's who you see here. There are about 4 missing. This is my grandmother that's in the middle in the black hat, Eleanor McClooney. So this is where we started. Now, this is a photo from a recent Isaac and Cynthia Kennedy reunion that was held. I think my cousin Mike did this reunion in Houston, Texas, a few years ago. And this is only a portion of our family, you guys, because from these 14 siblings came hundreds of cousins, first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, and I'm down that line. But from that reunion, and Isaac and Cynthia Kennedy, my grandmother, Eleanor McClooney, was one of the 14 siblings. And here she is with my grandfather, Ernest McClooney. Sorry about the pictures. Where they're.
I'm sorry, Sherita, we're not seeing anything.
Oh,
It's,
no, no,
it's a
no, no,
white page.
no.
All we're seeing is a white square. We're not
No,
seeing anything. I sent you a
you're not,
message,
you're not seeing anything at all?
just a white square.
I'm saying,
It's okay. Take a breath.
share screen. Why is it not showing?
Yeah, you're sharing your screen, but it's just a white box.
Is it there?
There you go.
Okay. As much as I do Zoom there, girl, you can tell I'm nervous. Okay, celebrating Black History Month and my aunt, Genetter Bradley. Let me start again. And again, she has always been my hero, my muse. And so I want to talk a little bit about our family history. I'm starting again so you can see the pictures of my great grandparents, Isaac and Cynthia Kennedy. And this is where I am sitting right now here on this land in Hattieville, Arkansas. And in that old house that you see, I call it the Heritage House, my grandmother and her 13 siblings were born here. So this is some of them, a few of them have, well, all of them are gone now, but on this picture, I think 4 of them are missing. And let's see, I gotta make sure I have my chat up so that I don't miss you next time, Vivian. So these are my great uncles and aunts, and that's my grandmother in the middle in the black hat. That's Eleanor McClooney. This is a recent family reunion, like I was saying earlier, with and it's only a portion of the Kennedys that comes from that lineage. And it was held in Houston, Texas. I think this is the one. And this is my grandmother, Elnora, and Ernest McClooney. And from this couple, my grandparents came my mother and her 4 sisters. And here they are here. The oldest sister over here on the left is my Aunt Nan. This is my mother, where you see my mouse, Leola. That's Leola, my mom. This is my Aunt Iola, who was the oldest. Aunt Beulah, right next to her. This is Aunt Nat in the black and the gray. And then my Aunt Curlin, who is the baby girl, and she's sitting there in the middle. And this was a photo taken from 1978 on this same day from that union and those 5 sisters. This is who you see here. This is all of us in 1978 on Thanksgiving. That's me over on the left holding my oldest son, who many of you have met through Facebook, Crucial. He was 1 year old there. And so that's Aunt Nat right there in the middle. And again, that's me over here on the left. And so people have even said, even there, we're looking alike. I want to point a few people out. That's my grandparents that are there and down here in the front. Again, that's the oldest daughter, Nan. She was from my grandfather right here. And then my Aunt Ola is right here. Aunt Beulah is right here. My mom, Leola, is right here. And again, that's my dad. But I want to point out someone else in this picture that normally probably does not come from our bloodline, but she is here. And she is my Aunt Net's niece. And that's my girlfriend Barb, my childhood buddy right there. Now I'm pointing her out because I want you to see something in the next picture that is truly hilarious to me. But that's Barb in our family picture. Fast forward to 2008. Let me stop 1 second. I want to stop the share for 1 sec. There's something there that shouldn't be there. And you guys, please excuse me, be patient with me through this because I have been crying. I was telling Vivian, I've been crying since last night. Even had to call my cousin LaDanya and like, Dance, you got to help me through this. This is crazy. Okay. Get back on my share screen. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Come on. You guys, this is crazy. Okay. So, why is it doing this? You guys, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was telling Vivian, I've been so nervous all morning. So please excuse me. While I'm talking you through this and my mess, Aunt Nat, like I'm saying, for the past 3 years, we've been dealing with her in dementia, and she's been such a bright light in my life. And it's scary when the light is dimming, and we don't quite know how to maneuver through that. And so I've had the difficulty, family, and I'm not the only one because I'm not even in Kansas City. I'm doing it from afar. But my cousin Daryl, who was her son, and all the people that are helping, Carolyn, my sister Moan, who was taking her to the doctor, Tammy, Kayla, Kiara, there's so many that's being impacted, even the people that have loved her just all of their lives. And so I think I'm up and running now. And so dementia not only affects the individual that is going through it, but more so it affects the family that's having to deal with it, because what gets in the way is our ego of her not remembering us, your loved one not remembering you. And we keep trying to make them be that person that they were, when you have to accept them from right where they are and try and be as happy and rejoice with them from right where they are. And it's a difficult thing. So anyway, the previous picture, come back. Oh, Sherita. The previous picture with Barb that I was pointing out, who is also Aunt Net's niece. Fast forward from 1978 all the way up to 2008. And who's in this picture again? Barb. So I just wanted to point that out because people have always said, who's that? So now back to my Aunt Net. She's right here in the middle with my Uncle Jim. She is the matriarch on my maternal side at this time. And then my Aunt Carolyn is here also, who is our second in line as far as our matriarch. And so this is what has stemmed from those 5 sisters, from the great-grandparents to my grandparents, and now down to the sisters that were born from my grandparents. So let's talk a little bit about the marriage of Genetter Bradley to my Uncle Jim. And they were married on August 19th, 1967. And from that union came their children. Uncle Jim had 2 children, my cousin Cindy and my cousin Jimmy Bradley. And then Aunt Net had Daryl that she brought into the marriage, Daryl Conway. So from that union came this family. They celebrated their 50th anniversary before the passing of my uncle, who passed away in 2020, I think it is, May 9th, 2020. So on this picture is my aunt saying goodbye to my Uncle Jim. So now I want to talk to you more about what had consumed her, which is a blessing because she was this renowned gospel singer. But I want to talk about, again, the history also, because the importance of gospel music has been relevant in America. It's American music for more than a century, and its importance to society is still relevant today. Historically, gospel music helped enslaved people escape to freedom by using codes and spiritual hymns as a guide. Gospel music also provided unity for the Black community during the civil rights era, and it still soothes the soul. So back to the history of my aunt. This is her. And I think she was about 5 years old here. And sitting next to her to, let's see, right over here is my mom. Above there is my Aunt Iola, but that's the picture kind of cut off the top. But I want to pause here for a moment because my aunt became what's called saved at the age of 5 years old at a little church down here in Arkansas. And she began to praise God and has praised him all of her life since she was 5 years old, beginning here. And I think this was at a Bible school, vacation Bible school at the church. In the 1980s, she founded the Kansas City Gospel Music Seminar, which trained thousands of gospel singers who came from across the nation. And this is my Aunt Net here. And this is probably about 200 people at this workshop. Excuse me. In 1959, these three young people got together and formed a group called the Kansas City Melodiers, and it was established by Mildred Clark. And at that time, Aunt Net was only 17 years old. But at the same time, in 1959, I was born in November, and I was named, my middle name is named after Aunt Net. And so this is where our journey began together. The Melodiers celebrated their 13th anniversary in 1972, and it was featured in the Kansas City Star, or either the Call. I don't know where this article came from, but it talks about the Aunt Net and her group. That's my Aunt Beulah, excuse me, right here on the left, and Uncle Howard in the middle, and Mildred, excuse me, and Lily, and then that's my Aunt Net right down here on the left where you see my mouse. Now they even ventured to the Apollo Theater. Now I want to pause for a moment because during this time, with us acknowledging Black History Month, there was a lot of things going on at this time. And as they were prospering as a gospel group, all around them were things that were happening as far as racism. There were hotels they couldn't stay, where they couldn't stay, even when they traveled to the Apollo in New York. There were things that we as a people could not do. And so I want to let you know how she and these individuals were still prospering during this time. And so it says here, the Apollo, the theater where stars are born and legends are made. And I'm speaking to you about my living legend. And I felt like it was so important to talk about Aunt Net on this day, because so often we talk about individuals after they're gone. We recognize, not that it's not important to recognize those that have gotten us here, those that have walked and gone through the trenches prior to now. But it's important to also talk about those that we love now and remember them, because most people don't think about this, but all of us will be forgotten within 2 to 3 generations after we are no longer here. Studies have shown that. I don't even know who my great-great-grandparents were. I don't know their names. I know very little about my great-grandparents. And then now I am a 3rd generation or 4th generation. Let's see. And so we lose it. And so it's very important for us to start talking about and sharing information about our loved ones, to start combating, going against being lost within 2 generations. Okay. So my aunt and the Melodiers ventured to the Apollo in 1966. And it says here, Mildred Clark, Lillian Franklin Bingley, Genetter Bradley, and Beulah Gunnels. The Kansas City Melodiers were one of the most famous gospel groups to come out of Kansas City, recording for ABC, Peacock, and Songbird Records. And then in 1974, Aunt Net, she started again, like I said, reading her short bio. She created the group, the Bradley Singers, and that was established in 1974. So I want to pause a moment, and now I'm going to play some of her music, and I want to say that I do not own the copyright to any of the music that I'm playing. I'm hoping that when the video is posted that we will not get taken down because I'm playing this music. So let me stop here because I want you guys to hear some of the music of my amazing, amazing aunt. So I hope that I haven't been too crazy with you guys today. Yeah. The hard thing about this is to being on live and then you guys seeing, oh, come on, seeing my blurps. All right.
You know, I got tired the other day of the rushing about in the big city.
Listen to her. Her
And I
voice
decided that I wanted
is so
to take a little
young.
time off and go back home to the little town where I was born. I wanted to go back and see all the good.
What happened? Come on. Oh, you guys, I can't believe this. It doesn't look like it's letting me.
Breathing Claritin Clear is like
Pretty girls walk like this.
Guys, this is crazy. Why is it doing this? I thought I had all these set up. Let me just move on. I would just move on. One thing I've learned, when things aren't working out, there's a reason. So we'll just go back. I'll take you to my next one. Hopefully I can get this to play. Guys, I see what's happening now. Let me see. I see what's happening now.
Nobody recognized the talent that was here. A lot of people knew
I was too nervous today.
that if you go into Kansas City, there were some great singers, but they didn't recognize them enough to say, come to my company, come to my city. You know, now they do. Now they do.
I'm hoping that you see this.
I'm so glad. Lord have mercy.
I want to go back because I want you to see this. I'm so disappointed.
as a native of Kansas City, I feel like we have some of the most creative minds, some of the most amazing talent anywhere in the world, actually.
We got a white screen again.
Nobody recognized the talent that was here. A lot of people knew that if you go into Kansas City, there were some great singers, but they didn't recognize them enough to say, come to my company, come to my city. You know, now they do. Now they do.
I'm so glad. Lord.
So that's a little bit of my aunt. And let's see. I'm going to pause my share. Hopefully I would do this correctly. Now, I hope I'm sharing again to get back to her history. My aunt has been a member of Mount Pleasant.
We had a white screen again.
A white screen again?
Unfortunately, yes. We're good. Got it.
Okay, again, my aunt has been a member of the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church all of her life since she was a little girl. And here she is with the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, with the choir. And just sharing some pictures now. A family that prays together, stays together. Every time when I go home, I go to church with my Aunt Nat and my Uncle Jim. I miss him dearly also. But these are just a couple of pictures from us worshiping and taking pictures after church. My aunt has received countless awards, acknowledgments, and accomplishments. And these are just a few. One, coming soon, July 18th through the 24th. And this was back in the 1980s. On that left, let's see, the workshop will be held at the Christ Temple Pentecostal Church. That's where she's doing one of her gospel workshops. On the other photo is where she was recognized with some other phenomenal pioneering gospel women. And again, she just received countless awards. And the music that you just heard was from when they did a movie. It's called I'm So Glad. And it was a film about Kansas City's gospel music. And sitting next to her when she was speaking was my Uncle Jim when they came and did the interview at the house. My aunt was the first African-American Black female DJ with the KPRT gospel radio back in, I think it was around 1968. And again, as my muse, I didn't even realize how much I was following in my aunt's footsteps and some of the things that I was doing. But fast forward 40 years later, and I was actually a DJ also on that same gospel radio station when I moved home to take care of my dad there in Kansas City. You could not visit Kansas City if you were out of town and not go by my aunt's beauty shop. And she had her beauty shop for more than 40 years there on 63rd and Truth. It was called Net's House of Splendor. And this was actually the last time that she did my hair. It was a time I came when I traveled to Kansas City and she did my hair. I was living in Arkansas at the time and had moved from Los Angeles. And so there we are looking like twins. She had a childcare center that was right next door to her beauty shop. And even my nieces and nephews and cousins that are now in their mid to late 30s were some of the very first students that attended. And here she's pictured with my cousin Jean. And is that Pam? I think that's my cousin Pam that also worked there at the beauty shop. Now, this is a funny story about my aunt. She called LeBron James her nephew. And that's a headband. That's not his headband that's pictured there, but he actually gave her his headband. Now, you guys, you won't believe this. You're not supposed to wash something when a celebrity gives it to you. But she said, I didn't want that old nasty thing and keeping it like that. She washed LeBron James' headband, but she had it hanging in her living room and she would not miss a game. LeBron James, as far as she's concerned, was her nephew. And so these are just some pictures of me and my wonderful aunt, just different times when we were together. Every time when I flew home from Los Angeles, mostly all the time, Aunt Net picked me up. But if Aunt Net didn't pick me up, of course, Julian or LaDanya or someone else. But if Aunt Net was available, she wanted to pick me up. And so this is us at the Kansas City airport. Now, I'm getting back to the history of the land here. And how did I end up here? After, this is my great-grandparents on the left, Isaac Kennedy and Cynthia in the middle, Cynthia Kennedy, excuse me. And this was a picture when when Aunt Nat and Daryl and LaDanya last visited the land. They had come to Arkansas to sing. And so the old house that you see back there, that's where the porch had fallen already. And so, but they're standing here on the land. And, excuse me. Make sure I'm doing right here. And so giving you the history here of how I'm here. I didn't even realize that the land was still in our family while I was in Los Angeles. But while I was traveling the country and I had decided that I wanted to leave LA, I've always loved the country. I would go and spend time up in Northern California with a friend of mine, Veronica, at her ranch and was helping her to do some programs there. I used to ride horses while I was in LA. Most people just didn't know that because we weren't doing Facebook as much. We weren't doing Facebook at the time. And so you guys, or a lot of people have said, well, Sherita, how are you now adjusting leaving Los Angeles, working with clients in Beverly Hills, and now you're in the country? How's that adjustment? This has always been in me. And so this is one of the things that I continuously talk about. We all are layers, and it is amazing to me how I'm able to live all the layers of who I am right here on this land. From doing Zoom calls horribly today, but coaching my clients and still having my 40 some odd chickens, 2 goats, 2 cats, 5 dogs, 3 ducks, all wrapped into one big ball of who I am. And I'm here because of Aunt Nat, because my aunt, while I was in Los Angeles and while I was touring, I had no idea that this land was still in our family. For some reason, I just assumed that it had sold. And so when I traveled here to Arkansas, and I was looking for some land, Aunt Nat said, well, Shuba, that land, Shuba's my nickname. She said, Shuba, that land is still up there in those sticks. And I said, what land? And she said, Grandpa's land, Grandpa and Grandma, where Big Mama was born. I'm like, what? Well, anyway, fast forward, that's how I ended up here. I developed my aunt's nonprofit, the James and Genetter Bradley Foundation, years ago. And I got her first grant for her nonprofit to support her child care center. Well, this is why it's so important to just do what you do, help others, and without any without just do it because you want to do it. Do it because you're loving to do it, without any other motives. Because I had no idea that 20 years later, almost 20 years later, that I would end up here. Not only am I here, but my aunt donated the land to me. I'm so, so grateful. And so here I am on that same porch. First, that's my grandmother standing in front of that porch. That's my great grandfather standing in front of that porch, my great grandparents. That's my aunt and my cousins standing in front of this old house. Well, this is where I'm sitting. And so, Aunt Nat, I just want to say thank you to my ancestors. I just want to say thank you. Because as we recognize those that have come before us, it's important for us to acknowledge them. It's important for us to live our lives where they would be proud. And so I'm praying. A lot of times when I'm walking on this land, I'm constantly praying and thanking God for being here. And that's why when I'm training individuals in the work that I do, I say, make sure that you're doing what you love, and how can that go right along with on the path that you're on. And so again, Aunt Nat, today I salute you. I toast to you. And I want to just play one more song. Hopefully I won't mess it up, because this is the song that she's known for, that everyone requests all the time. And it's called Walk Around Heaven. And no one sings it to me. I know I'm biased, but no one sings it like my Aunt Nat. So hold on a moment. Let me not mess this up. Aunt Nat, please let me do you proud and let you sing your song. Let's see, please, please, please. Where is it? 1 second, you guys. I know I got it. Come on. It's coming up. 1 second. We're gonna pause. Okay, share my screen. Hit play.
Can't hear it. It's not coming through clear. Sherita, we're not hearing it.
Okay.
It's like breaking up.
I don't know if it's working.
No, we're not hearing it.
I wonder why. It's playing fine for me. I don't know.
Right, but did you choose play through computer speakers when you were doing
I
it?
don't know, but I just won't worry about it
Okay.
because, I just know that whatever way that this show has gone is the way that it should go. I'm not going to worry about it. I wanted to dedicate this show to my aunt. Many of you have already heard her sing. I'll make sure that I will post all of the links when I post it again on my Facebook. I just wanted to dedicate this show to someone that has been so, so significant in my life. After my mother left when my mother transitioned back in the early 90s, she almost became that mom for me. But she had a way of making everyone feel that way. So again, I'm not the only one. And Ned, I just want you to know that I'm not only thanking you, but a lot of people, after I posted that I was going to acknowledge you today, just the love that was pouring out for you. Your living has not been in vain. And I'm grateful. And so for all of you that are listening to the show, I know a lot of people are dealing with loved ones with dementia. Love them from right where they are. Be patient with them and don't try and make them be who they used to be. Just love them from right where they are. For those of you, when I talked about our generations and how we are forgotten after two at a max, 3 generations. I once heard Al Sharpton say, the hardest funeral in the world to preach is for a joker that hasn't done anything. What are you doing with your life? When you transition, what would they say about you? How are you living your life? And so this show is about a lot of messages. Walk in your truth. Be the best you that you can be. You guys might think it's crazy, but even when I'm posting on Facebook, before I post, I say, Lord, let this post make somebody smile. Let them get a kick out of Joy, my dog Joy, or Ali, or let them laugh at the goats. If someone is sad at this time, let this bring some laughter, because you know what? When you're laughing at that moment, you're not thinking about anything else except what you're laughing about. So I hope that this show, with all of my mishaps and messing up and you're not hearing the music, all of that, I hope that if nothing else, that you got some kind of message out of today, because this show has meant a lot for me. Just gathering the photos and looking at the history of my aunt makes me want to be even better than what I have been. I'm hoping that I've been the best mom, the best sister, the best neighbor, the best friend. But if not, Lord, I want to do better, because life is so short. And no matter how much money you make, no matter what your title, no matter what kind of clout you might think you have, whether you end up with dementia or just laying on your deathbed, none of that will go with you. All of these things that you have gathered, except what will be remembered by you. I don't believe I even left my phone on. I didn't even turn off my ringer. Oh my God, this has been such a crazy morning. So excuse my phone ringing, excuse my craziness. I hope that this show has really, really been a positive message for you, and that you've enjoyed getting to know my Aunt Genetter Bradley, who I know as Aunt Net. A lot of people in the family even call her dear. She also has 2 grandchildren that I didn't mention, Maya and Chris. And so I just, again, I want to thank so many people for being there for my Aunt Net, because again, I'm here in Arkansas and they're in Kansas City, Missouri. And as her power of attorney, I've been very involved in this whole past few years as we walk and learn and maneuver through this journey of dementia. But it could not happen without so many people that are there. And what's also surprising, you guys, you might think that it's going to be a particular person that's there for you when you are down, but you never know. God has things in store. There are people that have stepped up and showed out that maybe Annette wouldn't have even expected. And so treat people right, live life gloriously, because you never know when you are laying on your back, who you're going to look up and be staring at. And so from even Beverly Freeman and Mary and my niece Tammy, if I had named her, my Aunt Curl and Daryl, again, ain't that son, Mona, my cousin Boo. There's just so many people that I want to make sure and acknowledge. But again, thank you, everyone. And thank you for being clear of watching me on this show today. This is Sherita Herring, Beverly Hills to Barnyard. Have a great day.